Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chris McDonald with RunSignup, and I've got Shelly, James, and Matt on the back end answering questions. For those of you that have not used GoToWebinar before, you should have a panel on the right-hand side where you can ask questions. So feel free to ask those questions during the talk, and one of our people will help answer those questions. If all of you are asking the exact same question, then we will pause everything and make sure to float that question out so that we answer it for everyone, because I'm sure that if you have that question floating around in your brain, I'm sure somebody else does too. So let's make sure everybody understands as much as possible. And for those of you that haven't met me, I'm Chris McDonald. I'm part of the RaceDay team. If you're a timer, you've definitely heard me give presentations. If you are a race director, welcome to this talk. And you know, you guys use this check-in app just as much as the timers do, if not more. So hopefully you have been getting a lot of use out of the check-in app. I think it is one of the preferred tools that RunSignup has put out there. I think we did an estimation, and we're seeing somewhere in the millions of check-ins over the course of the calendar year. So if you're not yet using the check-in app, strongly advise you to get out there and test it out, either at a smaller event or a test event, or run it in concert with a normal check-in that you're currently doing. So with that being said, I've been kind of stalling a little bit because we have a ton. I think we just doubled our numbers in the past minute or so. So welcome to everybody that just joined. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the RaceDay check-in app, not just for check-ins anymore. So we're going to go through a quick intro about the check-in app and then a brief review, because I'm certain that a few of you guys have not used the check-in app before, or maybe are just using in default mode. Then we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today, and that is the new lookup features. And then to finish it off, we have some additional feature updates that have come out, and there are some things on the horizon as well in the next week or two. And we'll answer any questions that you guys might have. So the intro here is, if you know nothing about the check-in app, it's a RunSignup tool available to all race directors and timers. It can be used with phones, tablets, kiosks, anything that can use the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. It is free, and it's available basically to anybody using the registration platform. The biggest feature here is this last one, and that's that it seamlessly integrates with RunSignup's registration, all of the RaceDay tools, and bib management. So for those of you that are race directors and are, you know, tired of doing pre-assigned bibs and having people in lines, this is where you can do dynamic bib assignment. And if your timer's using, you know, RaceDay scoring, which is also a RunSignup product, all of those changes, all of those updates live sync both directions to RunSignup from the app and RaceDay scoring. So it's a really cool tool, and we've got a quick screenshot of what it looks like for a lot of you in there. So we're going to do a very, very quick review. This is a very upper level review. If you do have any additional questions about, you know, setup or use of the check-in app, we have tons of literature out there, both documents and YouTube videos on how to set things up, how to do dynamic bib assignment, everything, you know, kind of soup to nuts there. But just in case, quick review, and that is, if you download the check-in app and you're about to raise your hand saying it's broken, I don't see my event in the events on the app, you still have to go into RunSignup and you still have to turn it on. So you go into RunSignup under RaceDay tools and check-in app and click on the mobile app, and you will set your password here and the enabled dates here and here. So if those aren't set for the current date, it's not going to display today. Now you can turn this on for your turkey trot today. If nobody knows your password to get into it, nobody's trying to get into your check-in app. So plus on top of that, they would have to know your password too. So for larger races, I always tell them, you can go in and set everything up, and if you need to turn it back off, you can, or just leave it on. It's not a big deal. Now, a helpful tip here is putting your password hint as your password. This should not be a super complex password, because you might be sharing this with other people outside of yourself. So please don't use like your banking password or something like that. The reason why we say to put your actual password here, if you ever need support and you contact your account manager or you contact the RaceDay team, the first thing that we're going to do is, in order to see what you're seeing, we're going to need to know the password to get into that. So if it's sitting right here, we don't have to sit and wait. And only you can see your race in the app once it's during that date period like we just talked about. So some really quick things here. Once you've done that, you can go in to search for your event, type in your password, and then you can get in and change things, or go in and update your presets and configurations. Some things in here, we're not going to go through all of them. You can lock the race, quick check-in stats, queued edits, force refresh, volunteer check-in. This is toggling back and forth in between your actual athlete check-in and your volunteer check-in. You can get support, or you can go back to your races. So back to your races lets you go into a different race and get support. It sends a help ticket into info at RunSignup. So one of the big things that people that don't use the app a ton don't know about, and that is, and the bulk of people that are migrating over to the app are using it for something to the tune of dynamic check-in using QR codes. And so my finger in this picture is actually covering up a QR code because it happens so quickly that I can't take a screenshot of the QR code in place. So when we go into our event, we can set up our settings so that the camera is always on, or you can just hit the camera, and you can then scan the QR code replacement tag on a pre-event email, which speed things up because you're not having to search for people. And then you get into the person, you can say, oh, I need a ladies large, and you hit check-in. The camera automatically pops up. You show it the QR code. Obviously, when you're doing this, don't hold your hand over the QR code. And then it'll, like, as quickly as, it's unimaginably fast. But the moment you do this, this is what pops up. And it gives you a confirmation of Erica Hughes is checked in. We're going to assign her bib number 2248, and her performance sports shirt is a ladies large. And then you hit save and continue. So we did this so that, because it happened so fast, that if you forgot to tell your t-shirt people, your runners, hey, I need a ladies large, it will show it to you again. Once you hit save and continue, now you see Erica Hughes is checked in with a bib number and a check mark. You see how she didn't have a bib number, she didn't have a check mark. The beauty of all of this is, as this happened, maybe 15 to 20 seconds later, it populates at RunSignup that both she was checked in and that her bib number is 2248. And again, if your timer is using RaceDay scoring, it will auto update for your timer in RaceDay scoring, so you don't have to have a runner back and forth bringing, who I assigned what bib number to. So it's just a very, very useful tool. You will need internet if you're doing this, and before you just go in and knock this out, definitely speak with your timer to make sure they have access to the web and that they are comfortable with all these tools. If they're not, tell them to call us and we'll be happy to run them through. So we've gone over a brief overview of what the CheckIn app does. I'm assuming most of you have used the CheckIn app before. Again, if you haven't, start using it. It's awesome. So the thing that we're talking about today are the lookup features. And so the lookup features, they were implemented new settings to customize lookup methods. And so we're going to go into screenshots and walkthroughs of how you do it, but I just wanted to go through bullet points of what this actually looks like. So now in your configurations, you can use a standard lookup or a new kiosk mode lookup. The kiosk mode hides the participant list, so you no longer will see the list of all the people, and it will use the camera icon or the bib number lookup, like manually typing it in. And it's so you can more easily go and look for people or for athletes to look themselves up in a kiosk environment. So think of like a tablet on a mount that they can show their bib number behind and scan their own QR code and see things. So with this implemented lookup option, you have the ability to look for results as well when tapped and scanned. And it's also like, again, going back to it, you can set up a simple kiosk for folks to look those up that are further away from the finish line, getting people away from the timer and away from the chaos, or moving them to the post-race festivities. We are planning to optimize these features. This is our first rollout. So currently there are some additional interactions, but we're moving towards automated interactions. We already have some timeout features that we'll talk about, or the results view automatically returns to a specific spot. So, and we'll also add on data for participants in the check-in review screen. So there is also an updated user interface with the design standards, and then other things that are coming out are collapsible present configurations device setting panel. So there's not as much clutter. So with that being said, if you have gone in and you're looking for it underneath what we call the hamburger right here, I do believe in the future there will be an option to go into a kiosk mode from this location, but at the moment, that is not where you'll find kiosk mode. So what you want to do is you want to hit the gear setting up here, which takes you into your presets and configurations. People ask me all the time, what is the difference in between a preset and a configuration? Presets are things you set up that could be for a specific event, such as, like, let's say you have a 5K and a fun run. And the 5K, you're going to require or mandate that a bib number is assigned, and the fun run, you're going to skip bib number assignment. So you create a preset called, timed runner, and that preset would be for the 5K. And then you would have a preset for the fun run, and that one would skip bib number. Then you would set the preset, the 5K preset to the 5K, the fun run preset to the fun run, and you would save that configuration. So a configuration is a grouping of presets. And the reason why all this is nice is because you can upload that to the cloud and very quickly sync that down to other devices that are coming in. So once we're into it, we can go into device settings. And if you scroll down, you'll see this pop up. But if you scroll down, you now have lookup method right here and lookup result. So it's going to default to standard, and you may not even have a lookup result, or it may be blank, or it might be on view participant if you've never set it. So you're going to be set to standard automatically. So once you get down to this part, when you click into standard, you have standard and kiosk mode available. When you click into kiosk mode, you are going to you're going to be automatically put into view participant, but you can go and change that. So once we've set it, you have the ability to view participant, update participant info, and view results. So these presently are the 3 kiosk modes that you have. Now, kiosk mode is not going to work if you're using the default presets and configurations. So you will want to set your presets like you want them, and make sure, especially if it's an updating registration info, that you have things set to update. If you haven't turned any updates on, it's not going to allow you to update anything. So when we go into this, first we're going to talk about view participants. So when we click in view participants, and we go back out to our normal, what you would expect to see all the participants listed, this is going to be your view. So as soon as you either type in or hit the camera to scan, so I typed in 33 and it auto searched and found 33, or you can hit the search bar. So it pulled them up, and again, in this configuration, I have that some things are allowed to be updated and that I can allow people to uncheck in. If you want to create a preset and configuration for just participant lookup with no other features, let's say, and I think the next screen is possible use cases, and this would be like a medical setting where you want your medical team to be able to scan a bib and see the participant's name, age, sex, and if you had a custom field in your registration of please provide us with any medical information that we can share, that you feel comfortable with us sharing with the medical team. And maybe somebody says they have a heart condition or something like that. Obviously, this is not HIPAA regulated or anything that way, so I would put a disclaimer there that, you know, we are going to share this with our medical staff. So in those scenarios, you could have it where they could scan the bib and it brings up their name, their age, their gender, and their event, and then any medical information. And it wouldn't have update register info or uncheck in. Or if you wanted to, you could even say, you could have a custom field here that allows them to update the registration info for the medical tent that says, yes, you know, they were seen in the medical tent. So you could easily use this lookup in a lot of different ways. But if you, yeah, and so like I said, medical tent, pre-packet pickup, lookup, you can get very creative for ways to use this. But this is kind of the very simple view of just seeing the participants by typing or scanning that participant information in, or that participant bib in. So the next thing down is update registration info. It looks exactly the same as the view participant. You're going to go in and you're going to type in the bib or scan the bib. As soon as you do this, it's going to bring up this information. Now, I set this to allow for participant info updates, which would be the first name, last name, age, gender. I also said, hey, I want to be able to update the t-shirt and corral too. So again, these are settings underneath your presets that you would have to set to allow for these changes. Now, why would we want to do this? And so, oh, by the way, let me go ahead and finish this part. Once you save it, or once you add things before you save it, it's going to give you an unsaved changes, so you don't just hit back. So that way you can remember to hit this save button. So we've gone from no shirt and no corral to an extra large, and they need to get a blue bib. They're in corral 2, which gets a blue bib. And so where could this be used? A change table at packet pickup. So if you have like a problems change table, this is one way that you can allow for a volunteer or a staffer who maybe doesn't have backend RunSignup admin access. You could allow for them to make a very quick change. Personally, I would not allow, if it's a volunteer, I would not allow them these kind of updates. I would make sure it's just a staffer, just because you don't want somebody making major changes. But if it's a staffer, I mean, changing age, gender, you know, people make mistakes when they register all the time. Now, for those of you that have been to my talks on the CheckIn app before, just keep in mind that these updates, these t-shirt corral updates, things like that, they do not take into account any caps or inventories that you have at RunSignup. The expectation is that if you're changing this here, that you are wanting to manually override anything that you have set on the back end, any automated filters at RunSignup. So just keep that in mind. Like if you have a corral set to only 50 participants and you change this person to, and there's 50 people already in corral 2, and you set this to corral 2, it will override. If you have run out of your inventories of extra large shirts and you hit extra large and save it, you will see a red -1 when you go into inventories. It will override the inventories for this person or for the event. So just something to keep in mind. And then I also put in here a smaller event for corral check. I just had a call with a race director and timer this morning who was like, man, I really just want to be able to, like, we only have 5 or 7 people per corral that goes off every 5 minutes for this event. I just wish I had a really easy way to like check things. And this is a perfect example that you could say that the only thing that you want to do, you set up a configuration and presets that the only thing you can change is the corral. And then you could scan people as they come in, scan it, set it to 2, scan it, set it to 2, scan it, set it to 2. And now if you have a corral of like 500 people, not going to work. You'll want your timer to help with those kind of corral settings or assignments. But for smaller events, you could do this, and it would be a pretty nice way of checking who's in what event. So the final lookup feature is the view results. Now, obviously, you will have to have had results published for your event. So that test event that I was using, it did not have results published, so I had to switch over to another event. But I typed in 289, and I didn't have to hit search. It just went ahead and auto search for me. It pulled up this participant, 289, with his chip, gun time, all the event data that is published at RunSignup. One nice thing you see here is time left. A lot of people don't want their data showing after they leave. So this is a great thing that you could have, like, I would suggest something like an iPad, if you had an iPad or a bank of iPads that you could put out and allow for participants to either type in or scan, depending on how you have your camera set up for your device. But typing in their bib number at the finish line, you know, they get, boom, automatically bumps into this. And as they walk away, time left 11 seconds. The moment this goes away, it bumps back to this screen. So it auto resets for the next person to look up, which is really fantastic. So obviously, what are these possible use cases? Results kiosk and remote results kiosk, because this is not necessarily tied to, you know, the timing system there. If your timer is pushing results live up to RunSignup, you could set this up inside. You know, you could set this up at the running store for people that are just coming in, like, hey, you can check things out for bigger events. You could set this up at a sponsor location. It's not just for race day. You could set this up at any place where people could go back and look at their results for that event. So you can get creative on how to use it. Now, keep in mind, just as we said on, I think it was like slide 2 or 3, that the CheckIn app, this is only going to be available for the dates that you have set for the CheckIn app. So if you have your CheckIn app set to shut off, and this is something you need to think about, if your packet pickup ends at 7:55 on race morning, and you set your CheckIn app to turn off at 7:55 on race morning, you're not going to be able to use these lookup features for post-event things like viewing results. So you will need to elongate those settings on the back end of RunSignup because you will need to be logged into the CheckIn app when you use it. So I think we have some click-throughs here. This was before we had the countdown at the top, but you can see people, results not found because there's no number 60. But if we type in 50, we do have results, and now we have that cool that cool countdown of resetting back. So some additional feature updates. One is something that a lot of larger events and a number of smaller events as well, but a number of larger events that have very specific waivers that they need to sign. And maybe they're also like a USATF sanctioned event, and they need that waiver, or you know, you name it. But we've added support within the CheckIn app to support the signing of multiple waivers. So if the race is using multiple waivers, you now can sign both of them within the check-in flow. So you can see they're signing waiver 1 of 2, and so they can hit that black button to see the waiver. Once they sign it and hit next, there will be a saved screenshot on the participant profile for that individual of that signature, the IP address, the timestamp, and the waiver that was visible when they signed it. So if you've never used these, the waiver feature, and you import people, like maybe sponsors, maybe instead of giving sponsors coupons, because you're like, you know what, they never remember to do coupons, and I always have the headache of, or they never remember to use their coupons. And so we've got our title sponsor showing up on race morning. So you know what, let's just go ahead and import them so that's done and done. We don't give them a headache. Well, now when they show up, imported people won't have signed the waiver, and so you can have them sign the waiver, hit next, sign the second waiver, hit next, and then they're checked in. So it's a really nice way to capture waivers just before you're handing things out. So this is the additional feature that was just implemented, but it'll automatically navigate back to the lookup method after a set period of time. So you see how it went away, and now we're looking at one, and so you can set it to off 5, 15, or 30 seconds. So the default right now is 15 seconds. And this is nice, like we said, about using that result kiosks. So that way people don't have to hit as many buttons. So the easier, the better for everyone. And then also we added a configuration setting to auto show the camera in kiosk mode. And so it says at the top, scan bib or registration QR. And that way people it'll automatically open the camera and be able to be scanned. So those are some of the additional features that have come out. And I've seen the little question bubble popping up periodically. So that is the participant lookup mode in Kiosk. So I am certain we've had some questions. I just clicked into the question panel and I see some there. Matt, anything that...
So Chris, just to kind of back up for a second, just kind of wanted to socialize the main point of what we wanted to try to get across today. And, you know, Chris has done a good job of outlining that. It started right from the beginning today when someone was asking questions around barcodes and different types of barcodes. But really think about what we're doing here is that once you have some type of identifier that's easily identified on that person, and we're talking about that QR code on that bib, you now have a tool that you can put out into your field that you can really do a lot of different things. So it's all about scan, right? Can I scan to get to the medical information quickly for a participant? Can I scan to get to the emergency contact information quickly for a participant? Can I scan to go and update a custom field? And maybe that custom field is tracking something like whether or not they're in medical or not. Can I scan to update some other field that I'm tracking for a different use case? So it's really all about how can I use scanning, an identifier on a participant, and quickly either view or update a key piece of field of information that I need to then act on for my particular event. And then of course the final more common case is scan for results. So again, we really wanted to kind of highlight the fact that you've got the QR code, you've got it on the bib. Let's now give you a tool that it's not just on, you know, a kiosk somewhere, but a tool in the hands of your staff that they can use to either scan to view or scan to update information. And I think there was a lot of good questions around that, but I just kind of wanted to kind of really capture that thought today.
Yeah, and off of that, James just had a question come in. Is there a specific QR code creator that people use? And really what's very typical is if you're getting custom bibs printed for you, most bib printers will be able to include a QR code on there for not very much at all, if not free. So definitely talk to whoever is your bib source provider, and they'll more than likely be able to print out QR codes for you and generate them as well. And if you wanted to, you can find all sorts of free utilities online to upload a spreadsheet of numbers, and it'll spit out a bunch of QR codes for you as well, or do them one-off. You can find all sorts of resources like that for free online.
So, and to that point, Matt, someone just asked, when printing bibs, how does the printer know what QR code to put on each bib? So this is when they assign it, it points at a very, very specific number that's cataloged. So yes, if you were to use that QR code, it would always point to that number. So the bib manufacturers, I guess, have a database of or their QR code creator is, I guess it would have to be a database of those types of numbers. Let's see. There were some other questions that might be pertinent. One person asked, if we use the medical feature of the CheckIn app, should we update the waiver to include the new feature? With any waiver questions, we always kind of push the race director to consult with legal on your end, because your legal side might say, since we're sharing that information out, yes, we do need to include it in the waiver. So just chat with whoever you review your legal documents with and ask them if that text should be updated in your waiver to reflect that. And this is being recorded. So there's no, if I went too fast on anything, you can go back. This will also be emailed out to you, but we also save all of these at youtube.com/RunSignup. Great place to go and check out all the videos. If you search for CheckIn app on within the RunSignup pages, you'll be able to find all the other videos about dynamic assignment and how to update things with configurations and presets and all those kind of tools. And it doesn't, I know we've talked about a lot about QR codes. It also scans barcodes. We used barcodes at an event a few weeks ago, and I will tell you this, QR codes likely scan 3 to 4 times faster than barcodes. Not sure what specifically it is, but they scan significantly faster. If you're using a camera-based scanner, you have no problem, going back and forth in between the two. If you are using a scanner gun, like you would see at like the grocery store, or I guess like they used to use at the grocery store, you do need to make sure that it's a 2D scanner if you're trying to scan barcodes. If it's a 1D scanner, it will scan, or sorry, I got that backwards. If it's a 1D scanner, it will scan barcodes, but it will not scan QR codes. So you need to make sure you have a 2D scanner if you're trying to scan QR codes. Let's see, are store items built into the QR code? No, store items are not in there yet. Let's see, someone else asked about teams. Yes, you can look up teams if you assign team bib numbers or group or team bib numbers. Those will be looked up the same way. So it will be treated as a bib number for that lookup. And I think that covers most of the questions that were asked over and over. I don't think we saw anything else that was asked quite a bit.
On that final point you were making about teams, you don't have to just look up by team bib. You can look up by team name. So again, team name is something that's available in the search team. So you can definitely search by the team name and just deal with the check-in that way.
Yeah, I think you do have to turn that on in the preset function of search by team name. But yes, it is available to search for that. And let's see, I think we had a couple more questions come in. I wanted to read some of the questions because I figured that would jog a lot of other questions out of you guys. Explain what happens to online sign up in CheckIn app. I think you're asking, so everything syncs back to RunSignup. And so if you're if someone's registering on their mobile phone or on the sign up kiosk or being manually entered within RaceDay scoring, everything pushes back up to RunSignup, and all of our tools sync back and forth. Obviously, you do have to have an internet connection, but the CheckIn app syncs bidirectionally to the RunSignup database, and the RaceDay scoring does as well. So that's how all that works. And so someone's asking about, you used RaceDay check-in app for teams. Yes, you can use it for teams. You would want to use the group bib number and not assign the same bib number to all the participants. So if you go in under teams, you can see group team bib numbers, or if you're assigning bibs in the bib assignment tools, there's a piece underneath there that is about group team bib numbers. So that's where you do that. Let's see. New in the role. So someone's asking about, does this take the place of timing? No, it does not. This is only for checking in. And so you would not use this as a timing source. You could check out the RaceDay mobile timing app, but for those of you that do not have timing experience, I will say that timing is not, it might look easy because that person in the timing tent's hanging out and, you know, drinking a coffee and just typing on a computer. It's easy when everything works well, but you know, it's not as easy as it looks. So if you are looking at getting into the timing side of things, you know, be my guest. It's a it's a fun side of the industry, but it is very complex when you start to dig into it. Let's see. And I think that covers, it keeps, yeah. I think that covers everything. So yeah, we appreciate all of you joining. And if you do have any questions, feel free to shoot either me an email at crisp@runsignup.com, or you can shoot an email to raceday@runsignup.com. You can reach out to your account manager, and we'd be more than happy to help answer those questions. I always tell people to test. So if you're gonna roll something out new, don't wait until packet pickup. You know, turn it on 2 weeks prior, register yourself for the event, and try to break it on you, you know, because like if you're gonna say, oh, we're gonna try all these new things out, you know, register yourself and your dog and your cat. And if you look at a lot of my events, you'll see Superman and Spider-Man registered, just because if I'm gonna screw something up, I wanna do it on a not real person. So definitely feel free to open up the CheckIn app early, test things out. And again, if you are looking at going into dynamic assignment with the CheckIn app, chat with your timer just to make sure they're on board with it. Everybody's on the same page, so that nobody's getting thrown a curveball on race morning. So with that being said, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it, and look forward to chatting with you soon, and best of luck at your upcoming events. Take care.
Okay, well, I think I see some new people to the channel, so thank you all for joining us. Brian and I are here to say goodbye and thank you for watching. So goodbye and thank you for watching. If you want to see more though, you can subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell and all, that way you get alerted when we post new videos. And if you'd like to click on the thumbs up button and let us know you enjoy this kind of content, we'd be very grateful for that, wouldn't we? You know it! Thanks, Brian. Always got my back.